Now, across Texas, the issue is.
I'm Greg Krugen in Houston.
I'm Rudy Koski in Austin.
And I'm Stephen Dial in Dallas, and this is Texas, the issue is.
To the victor go the spoils, and with only a handful of exceptions, Governor Greg Abbott has done a lot of winning in the last 8 months. With the second special session now in the books, our state's chief executive is free to proceed with a braggadocio tour, and he wasted little time, with a particular emphasis on what he likes to call enhancements to the world's 8th biggest economy.
When you add up all this economy together, it leads to Texas having an annual gross domestic product of more than $2.7 trillion a year.
After a full session and a couple of specials, Governor Greg Abbott was on the stump in Central Texas with plenty to crow about. His favorite topic, providing Texas business in all its forms the playing field it needs to prosper.
We have a road building fund of $146 billion to build out the transportation infrastructure across this state.
Abbott says the once fragile electric grid, considered the Lone Star State's Achilles heel, has been strengthened and become a magnet for energy-hungry crypto miners and AI.
Since that failure in 2021, no Texan has lost power because of any deficiency in the Texas power grid ERCOT. Since 2021, Texas has increased the power available on our power grid by 25%.
And then there's the unprecedented investment this session in water, both finding more and saving what we already have.
$20 billion investment in water for the future of Texas. Half of that will go to increase new water sources. The other half will go to repair water infrastructure that's aged and broken and defective. This is amazing when you think about it, that in this state, we're currently losing hundreds of billions of gallons of water because of broken, busted, and inefficient existing water lines. Just repairing those lines alone will deliver more than 100 billion gallons more of water to your tap every single year.
As for the workforce, current and future, Abbott touted a lofty goal, elevating Texas to the top of the American heap in both primary and secondary education.
Provided an all-time record high of more than $8 billion more to fund public education in the state of Texas. If we're going to be number one in education, we have to be able to attract and retain the best teachers. Teachers are fundamental to a quality education, and we provided an all-time record pay increase of more than $4 billion for our teachers to make sure that they're going to stay in our public schools.
And in a state where rising property taxes pose a clear and present danger to housing affordability, the governor praised the legislature's latest bid to offer a measure of relief, with yet another expansion of the homestead exemption.
The first $140,000 value of your home will not be subject to a school property tax. But if you are a senior, that exemption is $200,000. Mathematically speaking, if you look at all the seniors' homes across the state of Texas, it means half of those seniors will pay zero in property taxes on the school district component of property taxes, which is the largest component.
Finally, the three-term governor praised a new era of deregulation, enabled by a fresh slate of very commerce-friendly statutes.
One way we did that is by passing the Texas version of the DOGE law to cut through regulations in the state of Texas that were hindering small business. What it ensures is that Texas will continue to move at the speed of business.
Okay, fellas, needless to say, Democrats will take issue with a great deal of that. But in the meantime, my one-word description is capitalist. Stephen, what's your word?
My word, success. I'll explain it later, but success.
Okay, Rudy, lay it on me.
Greg, Stephen, I'm going to go with buffet.
Okay, we'll leave it there for the moment, but hang with us. The Fox Texas Trio will be right back. Pretty rosy picture presented by Governor Greg Abbott at what was literally a chicken and peas Chamber of Commerce luncheon in the heart of Texas. Of course, the rest of the story, including what didn't get discussed, as in the $8 billion per year THC trade in limbo and a proposed reduction of the local property tax cap, which died a grisly death on the House floor, courtesy of hard right renegades. Rudy, all that said, Governor Greg Abbott pretty much cleaned house when you add his special session win on redistricting to his signature victory in the regular on school choice. Agree, disagree?
Yeah, as somewhat of a food fight at the very end, but it certainly was a Republican red meat buffet that was served up. Buffet, of course, being my word there. There were several, or a few deals with Democrats on some big issues like education funding. Remember that? It seems like a million years ago. And that deal had to be made after getting rolled on the school choice issue. And it's hard to hate on that homestead tax exemption, except the real problem with housing affordability continues to be sidestepped. And that's my old gripe, guys. You hear it ad nauseum with the property tax assessment process, which can still tax people out of their homes. But like a shady strip mall buffet, what looks good and you gobble it up may end up giving you botulism. The Democrats have a long list of legal challenges in the works, from the voting map to the abortion pill ban. And while the Texas GOP is a little giddy about their school choice plan that passed, remember, it's limited access. It's not true universal, not a universal school choice plan. So when parents find out that they can't get their kids in, I promise you there will be a lot of political belly aching. Greg?
All right, Stephen, investments in water, roads, and the grid, along with business-friendly deregulation and boosting teacher pay. It's all pretty much GOP meat and potatoes. Are there areas that Team Abbott neglected that Democrats can exploit, like maybe child protective services or mental health?
Well, you definitely don't want to ask Brian Harrison, right? He thinks there's a lot of things that the governor and Republicans left on the kitchen floor. Look, I said the word success because, and Rudy mentioned it, I mean, it was literally, I think, probably the best session for Republicans in some time as far as them getting through key issues. Now, are there issues that some will say that they did not get to or should have tackled? Of course. And, this is going to be an unpopular opinion, guys. I come from multiple states that they meet every year. Why don't they just meet every year so they can tackle these issues?
All right, Rudy, you are on the ground there in Austin. How weary are lawmakers, and what happens if Abbott calls a third special session to continue work on a hemp bill or lowering the cap on local taxation without a vote of the people?
Yeah, Halloween will come early, right? Wednesday night and early Thursday morning, it was clear a lot of state lawmakers were just burnt out. The final debate spiraled into some nasty personal comments, questionable Bible quotes, and the race card was played several times. Now, I think a break for the football season would be a good idea. Have a somewhat of a political halftime. Then come back and take up that hemp product fight. That one's going to be a tough one. Dan Patrick in the Senate clearly digging in on a ban. And if a tough regulation compromise happens, it's going to take some time to put it all on paper. May require some type of sales pause in order to stand up additional law enforcement and testing labs that will have to be in place. Get the horse back in front of the cart, Greg.
All right, Abbott was speaking to a business group this week and chose to make no mention of the cascade of so-called values measures that are now law, everything from the 10 Commandments displayed in schools to the bathroom bill limiting trans folk access. Could it be that the culture war stuff provides backpedaling Democrats a place to counterattack, Stephen?
Yeah, it definitely does. And Democrats are kind of treading water right now. Some may think that they're just drowning altogether. These issues, these hardcore issues that Republicans were able to get across the finish line this time, it does give Democrats some political ammunition to talk about. 10 Commandments in classrooms, bathroom bills again. But we've seen in months past that those types of issues did not really help Democrats, did not really help in the past. So we'll have to see if Democrats pick and choose what they want. All right, guys, Coming up in our next block, abortion has been a heated topic, and it continues to be one. We'll talk about what the legislature did at the end of the second special session. All right, welcome back. Abortion has continued to be a talked about topic under the Pink Dome in Austin, and it was no difference in the second special session. One bill that passed, if Governor Abbott signs it into law, which he likely will empower local regular citizens the ability to sue someone who mails abortion pills into the state.
So what does this bill do? This bill says if you are going to manufacture or ship these illegal poisonous pills to Texas for the purpose of killing little unborn babies and hurting moms, you will be held accountable.
I know that we're not going to agree on the policy. I just think that we could be opening a whole new can of worms with this, and really, we've already been forcing women into positions that possibly you and I would never understand what it would be like to be in that position.
First pill causes the little baby to die, and the second pill causes the little baby to be expelled from her mother's body. So we're talking about moms who are, in most cases, home alone, going through this process, who were not told the truth about the dangers, who in many cases were not even told the truth about the process. That's what we're dealing with. This is happening in Texas. There's no question about it.
Earlier we said that if the mother were to get the drugs and the abusive partner being the father of the fetus, that person can bring a suit against. And the question is, so it's not against the mother, but it's against the person who sent the drugs, right?
Manufacturer, distributor, yes, sir, that's it, but not against the mom. Against the mom.
But in essence, by doing so, you will dry up the possibility for her to be able to make the decision for herself whether or not to carry a pregnancy to term. Do you see how you're eliminating her ability to access her ability to make a decision for herself and then therefore trapping her?
Senator, the legislature went to great pains earlier this year to make sure that when a mom is experiencing a medical emergency, that she's protected. And I think we came together on that, and we're not doing anything in this bill. We painstakingly in this bill did not undermine any of those protections. So I want to make sure we're clear on that.
If the claim is brought by somebody who impregnated a woman through violent sexual assault and no one knows it because the claim hasn't been made, that pharmaceutical company, that doctor, that hospital, that friend, that mother is going to have to put that rapist on trial and prove a case in the context of your abortion pill import ban bill. Isn't that what's going to happen?
Senator, a rapist that you describe, bringing a lawsuit, a rapist who has gotten away with that horrible crime, bringing a lawsuit under this statute is going to open themselves up to criminal prosecution, 2 to 20 or 5 to 99 for aggravated sexual assault. Why would they do that?
And you
if they got away with a horrible act like that, why would they come into court?
There's some bad stuff in the world. You and I both know it.
If they did, and they should be held accountable.
So, again, big topic, a lot of debate about this. It's no secret we're all men talking about this. Greg, what have you heard from women on both sides of this argument?
Stephen, the women who oppose abortion oppose it in all its forms, surgical or medicinal. And they say this measure makes the Texas ban truly a ban, given the ability of women with unwanted pregnancies to access the chemical route to termination. Now, as for women who favor choice, they view this legislation as yet another further devastating incursion on their personal autonomy and the right to control what happens in their own body. They also warn of tragic consequences as women without the means to seek abortion out of state turn to less safe and potentially deadly means of ending their pregnancy. Finally, they insist the complete prohibition will prevent talented people from relocating to the Lone Star State, both women and men, as a matter of principle and protest. Stephen?
That's right, Greg. I agree with your argument on that as far as looking at how both sides view it. Rudy, Democrats tried to use abortion as a talking point in 2024 and it flopped. Should they avoid campaigning on something like this topic?
You know, Stephen, I don't know if it was an entirely a flop. I think it is a valid issue, and it's a big issue for many women, regardless of party affiliation. The get government out of my life pushback from those who are upset that any legislation reducing access to abortion control and abortion and birth control is passed, you know, is just as passionate as the pushback from those who are against any kind of gun control regulation, right? It's a polarized debate where middle ground typically is avoided and the debate is controlled by the extreme beliefs on either side. Democrats incorrectly assume all women are with them on this, just like they believe every Hispanic voter is a Democrat. But Republicans, in their zeal to end abortion, I think have failed to recognize the concerns voiced by moderates, independent voters, and they need to listen to those folks, understanding things like medical emergencies where terminating a pregnancy is necessary. And when they shut down access to abortion, Republicans have somewhat failed to aggressively support birth control measures beyond setting up some birthing clinics and telling kids, keep your legs crossed. Let's be clear, past elections and current polling shows the call for abortion at any time during a pregnancy is not supported by the majority of voters. And yet the Democrat leadership refuses to clearly distance the party from that extreme position. It's like the other hard left issues that we heard during the session by House Democrats doubling down on things like defending sex change treatments for children, as well as arguing for biological males in women's restrooms and competing in women's sports. You know, there is middle ground, guys, but it's going to require hard choices. But getting there continues to be, unfortunately, a road not taken, Stephen.
Yeah. Greg, okay. So we had 2 special sessions. This was on the special session agenda. Was it that important of a topic to put on, in your opinion?
Look, Stephen, Republicans, both the governor and lawmakers, are paying the piper, as in the pro-life forces, which have been a core component of their base, and the hard-right state party apparatus, which has made a complete ban on abortion a rock-solid plank in their platform for literally decades. Of course, as Rudy just said, all the best polling consistently tells us Texans as a whole are a lot more moderate on the issue, with a majority accepting of a woman's right to choose early in the pregnancy, but not so much later. Access in Texas to medicinal abortion drugs has had the effect of a legal option within a so-called ban. This new law and the potential tragedies it could trigger may well offer Democrats new political ammunition, which will resonate with younger voters moving into their 30s and 40s. Stephen?
Rudy, do you agree?
Yeah, you know, I think it's worth the debate, but as you pointed out, I think Republicans need to get more data on the pills, how much is coming in from out of state, how many women are actually being hurt by misusing the pills. I don't think supporters of the pill ban, while they clearly want to save lives, have clearly established the use has risen to an emergency situation that warrants a limited debate in a special session. So will it be in a new call if there is a third special session? I think there's a good chance. Should it be? That's really up for debate. Now, we have other issues to deal with. It's usually a wild card discussion, and we'll do just that after this break.
I was in a car accident. 8 years, just gone.
The smash hit Doc is back with an explosive season premiere.
He hates me for something that I can't remember.
I've got nothing to lose.
Doc, season premiere, Tuesday, September 23rd on Fox.
All right, welcome back. And this is the part where we kind of go off topic and go in some new topics, some new issues. And here in Austin, the issue that emerged just a few days ago is a new logo for the city of Austin. Dun, 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 dun. There it is, guys. There it is. The logo represents the hills, the rivers, the bridges that connect Austin, the colors, which you really can't see, green and blue, the sky, the trees. All right, it's been compared to the logo in Dallas, where the city manager here in Austin, he came from Dallas, and some say if you turn it upside down, what does it look like? Some say it looks like a pothole or maybe a urinal. I kid you not. This new initiative costing the city about $1 million. $1 million, and it's coming as the city is telling residents, hey, we're in a budget crunch and we need a tax hike to pay for all the new programs and services that we want. $1 million. That's a big issue, and that, in the last couple of days, has been causing a lot of talk. Guys?
I'll take it away. Mine is college football, right? Okay, I'm not a Texas fan. It's been on the record. I could care less about Texas. But I think Arch Manning got a little too much flack. Now, look, they glorified the kid. I mean, you would have thought they were talking about Tom Brady on Fox before the game and ESPN. It was just the first game. It was on the road. Again, I am not a Texas fan. You guys will lose between the hedges in Athens this season. But I think Arch Manning got a little too much heat. Greg?
All right, I'm going to get massacred for this, but some things you just have to get off your chest and out in the open. Ladies, those giant fake eyelashes, they do not occur in nature. I mean, seriously, not even on mutants. I mean, some are so big I think they're going to bite me. It's like men who wear bad toupees. Nobody is fooled. And they are not an enhancement. Of course, this is clearly just one old guy's opinion, but believe me, I have plenty of less vocal company, and I apologize. Let the hate mail begin, but it had to be said.
Geez, Greg, why don't you just go after the long nails,
it's a little too much.
All right, guys. That's all the time we have. You can see the interview or any of our past interviews by going to our YouTube pages.
And keep the conversation going by interacting with us on X and social media.
You know, next week, the fallout from the end of Special Session 2 should be settling somewhat. And there's some rumblings up on Capitol Hill. So we'll take a look at which one is really going to pop. But don't forget to let us know what you think the issue is.